We will take the new chapter, that is the acceleration analysis. For the practice problems that you have to do with the mini drafter, I have sent it to your common email. So all of you go through those problems and almost without drafter you work out the procedure for solving. Then only it will be easy for you to solve the problem. Otherwise, it will be difficult for you. If you try to do the entire thing in the class, in the drafter session, you may not be able to complete the problems. So there are problems on synthesis as well as velocity and acceleration analysis. So velocity part you will do it here. Lights again. Switch on the light. So about the acceleration analysis of mechanisms, we know that if you ask the question the acceleration, only if you know the acceleration, you will be able to get the forces involved. Dynamic force calculations you can do only with the acceleration. So for that we need acceleration analysis. So we have done the velocity analysis. So you know these details, the length of the links A, B, C, D. This you have got it by synthesis. Then theta 2 is given. You have found out theta 3 and theta 4 for a 4-bar mechanism. This is, you got these three by position analysis. Then you are given omega 2, you have found out omega 3 and omega 4. This you have got by velocity analysis. Then given alpha 2, finding alpha 3 and alpha 4. This is what you will get acceleration analysis. So theta 2 is given, omega 2 is given, in this case alpha 2 is given. You have to find out the alpha 3 and alpha 4, that is your acceleration analysis. So before proceeding to do the acceleration analysis, we'll first define acceleration and then we'll derive the equation for the general acceleration. So defining acceleration, acceleration is the rate of change of velocity. So if I say, if I have a point P and its position is given by the magnitude of this vector P, it is given by the vector RP. Say this is at angle theta, then the position vector Rp of this point P is given by P e power j theta. Then if you differentiate it, the rate of change of this is given in the velocity, so that we differentiate it as dP by dt into e power j theta plus P into j omega e power j theta. The acceleration is the rate of change of velocity d of ERP d square by dt square. So if you differentiate it once again, you will get the acceleration. So acceleration is rate of change of the velocity vector. Before going to the derivation of this, let us see some features of the acceleration, velocity, etc. See, one of the things that you know is the position displacement and velocity. Displacement of an object and velocity of an object will be in the same direction. When you say there is a displacement, the velocity also will be in the same direction. And both the displacement and velocity are to the large extent can be perceived by vision. So your visual perception, you will be able to say, you will be able to see the displacement and the velocity. Both will be in the same direction. But when it comes to acceleration, the question is whether the acceleration and velocity will be in the same direction. For that, if you see, the acceleration and velocity need not be in the same direction. If you say, for example, the velocity vector like this, the acceleration can be in the same direction or it can be in general direction like this, or it can be perpendicular direction, or it can be in the opposite direction also. If you see this displacement and velocity will be in the same direction. If you have a displacement vector, the velocity vector also will be in the same direction, whereas the acceleration is bit difficult to perceive, because the acceleration can be in the same direction. If only there is a change in magnitude, the acceleration is only due to the change in magnitude, you will get it like this. If the acceleration is only due to the change in direction, it will be perpendicular. If the change in velocity magnitude is negative, that is, if the deceleration occurs, it will be in the opposite direction. But acceleration can be in a general direction, where if you take a component of this, it can be along as well as perpendicular. That means the velocity vector changes by both in terms of magnitude as well as the direction. So that is a little complication that you have to understand when we are dealing with the acceleration. And also, the acceleration cannot be perceived by vision. If you just see something, you cannot say that it is decelerating or acceleration. It's very difficult. But our sensors, we have sensors to measure the acceleration. We have sensors inside the eardrum which is perceptible to the acceleration. For example, you are in a train or an aircraft. In an aircraft where it is dark, you cannot see outside. Then if the aircraft is moving at a constant velocity, that is a cruising mode, you will not be able to see the difference whether the aircraft is still or it is moving. Similarly, if you are in a AC coach of a train, in the night time you cannot see outside. So whether the train is moving or not, you will not know. But when it is accelerating, you will know. You will be able to feel it because of the sensors in your ear drum. So it is not a visual perception that helps you to understand the direction or the acceleration as such. So these are some issues related to the acceleration. You have any doubt? Whereas there is another quantity which will be in line with in the direction of the acceleration, that is the force. Force and acceleration, the net force acting on that body and the acceleration will be in the same direction. Okay, so these are the something in general we should know. Now we will derive the equation for the general acceleration. So d square rp by dt, we will derive it. So here you will see that first term, let me take it there. D square rp divided by dt square can be d square p by dt square e power j theta plus you have dp by dt as such j times omega e power j theta plus here dp by dt j omega e power j theta plus you have p times d omega by dt e power j theta plus, okay, j is there. So p j omega e power j theta into j omega. So these are the terms that we get when you differentiate it. So here we'll try to see whether anything can be combined. You can see here dp by dt j omega e power j theta. Here the same term is repeating. So these two terms we can sum it up. And now you can see that d square p by dt square e power j theta plus 2 times dp by dt j omega e power j theta plus you have here the j omega is there, yeah, d omega by dt, okay, j times p alpha plus you have j square omega square p e power j theta. So the j square is minus 1. So I can say this is having minus term. So these are the terms which gives you the acceleration of a point P. So what are these terms? Some of them have their own name. So this, you can see this particular thing, omega square p e power j theta is nothing but this is your position vector rp or omega square. r omega square minus r omega square is, the direction will be like this, because this is the positive direction, this is in the negative direction, this is towards the center, the magnitude is given by omega square times rp. So this is nothing but your centripetal acceleration. The term is the centripetal acceleration. Now this you see that j times p alpha e power j theta. So this term, if you look at it, the direction p times p into j, so it will be perpendicular direction. So it will be along this direction perpendicular to the position vector, that is your tangential acceleration. It's called a tangential acceleration. This term 2 dp by dt j omega e power j theta is called the Coriolis acceleration. Named after the inventor of that particular acceleration component, Coriolis. Then this is your relative acceleration. So you see that a point in a rotating frame will have all these components. So what happens is that there is a point P which itself is moving, then you will have this relative acceleration, then you will have a Coriolis acceleration, then tangential acceleration, then you have a centripetal acceleration. These four components will be there, you have to take into account. But fortunately in 4-bar mechanism, you don't have to take all these terms, because some of the terms will be eliminated by the fact that not everything is changing. The position vector itself will not change in magnitude. So if I take a 4-bar mechanism, let us see what are the components that will come in immediately. If we take a 4-bar mechanism, a general thing, you know that in a vector loop equation, each one we say that A, B, C, D. The position of each vector or the magnitude of each vector is equal to the link length. The link length is not going to change. Therefore, there is no question of this term, because P is a constant, it's not going to change. So this term will not be there. So this term will not be applicable for a 4-bar mechanism with a constant link length, which is not moving. You see that dp by dt, this term is also not applicable, because that also will be 0. So only you have these two terms. That is, one is a centripetal acceleration, another is a tangential acceleration. So when you are doing the acceleration analysis for a 4-bar mechanism, consciously we know that since there is no change in the magnitude of this position vector, the Coriolis component of acceleration and relative component of acceleration will not be applicable. It will be 0, so you don't have to take it. But if I take a 4-bar mechanism or a mechanism like this, I have, earlier we have discussed, there is a link which is rotating. That link has a slot in it, and there is a slider which slides. So in this case, there is a slider in a rotating link that is capable of moving. If you take the position vector of a point on the slider, its magnitude also will increase or change. So you cannot rule out in that case dp by dt is 0 or d square p by dt square is 0. So we cannot rule out that. So in that case you have to take all the components together, making your acceleration little more complex. Okay, it's not that simple as what is your 4-bar mechanism is. Where there is a slider or any component which is moving in a rotating frame, you have to take these two components as well. Okay, so that is what we have to do. There is one more point is, like when you are doing the differentiation, if you just follow the steps of differentiation, you see that there are 4 components which are in. But when you are doing an acceleration analysis graphically, graphical means will not direct you to all the 4 types of acceleration. You should have an idea that what are the acceleration components which will come in. Okay, so when you are doing graphical analysis, you should have a prior idea whether a Coriolis component will come in, whether the relative acceleration component will come in. So you have to take a step and do it. That is the problem with the graphical thing. Whereas if you go by this, the differentiation method, you will get all the 4 steps automatically. You have any doubt, please? I simply followed the differentiation steps. That's all, nothing. So you see that you have 4. So definitely I would say that you would not have been introduced to these terms, that is Coriolis term so far. Okay, so it is a higher order concept. So we will take more examples to explain what is the Coriolis component before working on this type of problem. Okay, we will take one class for Coriolis acceleration, because that is, if you understand the Coriolis acceleration, then only you will be able to appreciate how a MEMS sensor, which is a gyroscopic sensor that is used in your cell phone, etc., to measure your angular velocities, how they work, you will only come to know at that point of time. Okay, now any doubt? So we will have cycle test after you complete the 2 drawing sessions. After completing 2 drawing sessions, there will be a 2 days gap. Then we will have a cycle test. That is the arrangement, and this is what which will run parallel until we finish those 2 sessions. This is the acceleration analysis. So as we have discussed right from the position velocity, we are introducing the term position difference, velocity difference. Similarly, you have now the acceleration difference. The acceleration difference is the acceleration difference in acceleration between 2 points on same body. Acceleration difference is the 2 points on the same body. We have then relative acceleration. Then that is 2 points on, that is acceleration difference between 2 points on 2 separate bodies. So this one is a acceleration of A with respect to B. That is how it is mentioned. Acceleration of A with respect to B. This is the notation we use when we say acceleration A of A with respect to B, or if I want to change this, say acceleration of PQ means acceleration of point P with respect to Q. Then this is also acceleration of P with respect to Q, but there is a divider, means that this particular notation represents relative acceleration, where the P and Q are two different bodies and they are in two different bodies, two separate bodies. Whereas if I mention PQ, then it is acceleration difference. P and Q are in the same body. As you know that if P and Q are on the same body, their distance cannot change relative to each other. Therefore, automatically these two terms will be eliminated. So when it comes to the acceleration difference, you will have only these two components, that is the tangential component and the centripetal component alone will be applicable. Okay, so that is the important point. Whereas if it is the acceleration, relative acceleration, they can have a different displacement, the distance between them can change. Therefore, you will have the additional two components also may come or may not come, depending on what is the problem it is. So you have any doubt? So these are the things, if you try to read from the book, it will take lots and lots of time. Please be attentive in the class and get it things. Okay? Yes? This is the acceleration of a point or the slider which is moving. So if I say, instead of that point P, if I take, for example, there is a link like this which is rotating at angular velocity omega, and there is a slider which is capable of moving on that one, and this is accelerating. This itself is not moving at a constant velocity, this itself is accelerating. So if this acceleration is with respect to this rotating link, so rotating link, that this slider is moving on this link, right? Okay, you can say that it is rotating, and there is a slider. This slider can move relative to this link. That relative motion, that can be happening at a constant velocity or with an acceleration. So that acceleration is this. Okay, now we will do the acceleration analysis of a 4-bar mechanism the graphical way. Now let us take a 4-bar mechanism. This is O2 and this is O4. The omega 2 is given, omega 3 and omega 4 are already found out by doing the velocity analysis. We already found out that. Now this is point A and this is point B. Now we are going to do the acceleration analysis. What is acceleration analysis? You will be given alpha 2. Alpha 2 is given. Then you have to find out alpha 3 and alpha 4. So let us start, as I said, the beginning of the acceleration diagram or velocity diagram is by putting a dot. This dot is a one which has a zero acceleration. This is a link. This dot is nothing but a link which is the grounded link. So this point is O2 double dash. Please remember, when it comes to O2, it is the position analysis. The position of O2. In position analysis or whatever you draw, you mention is O2. When it comes to vector, the velocity analysis, we say it is O2 dash. When it comes to acceleration, we say it's a double dash. So this is the point O2 dash, double dash as well as O4 double dash. This is nothing but the acceleration image of this link. Now we have to find out the acceleration image or where the acceleration A would be. So acceleration of A, as we have said, it is between the 2 points, that is O2 and A, which is on the same link. Therefore, what we are dealing with, the acceleration difference, the distance between that O2 and A, which is A is the constant, therefore only two components will come. The two components are namely the centripetal acceleration and tangential acceleration. So, do we know what is the centripetal acceleration? Its direction and magnitude. Yes, we know the direction will be towards the center. It will be center seeking towards the center. So, this will be my direction of the acceleration of A with respect to O2, but we don't mention O2 because it is a fixed point. This is the normal component. Acceleration of A is called acceleration of A normal component, that is nothing but the centripetal component of acceleration, centripetal acceleration. What is its magnitude? It is given by omega square times, in this case it is omega 2 times A. We know omega 2, we know A, so we can compute it, we know the direction, it will be just in the direction of A, but it will be center seeking, opposite to your position vector. Now what about the other component? The other component is the tangential acceleration, that will be perpendicular to this. So I can put that direction here. It will be perpendicular, and its direction is given by the alpha. If the alpha is like this, your acceleration will be like this. The alpha is reversed, the acceleration will be like this. So alpha is here, it is clockwise direction. This will be my direction of the tangential component. So this is the direction. This I will say acceleration of A tangential component. Can we find out this magnitude? This is given by alpha times. You can see that it is alpha times the position vector. So alpha times A. So this is your magnitude. So this is known, alpha 2 is known, A is known, you can know these two. So we know both the components of acceleration, that is the centripetal acceleration and tangential component of acceleration. So the sum of these two, here the sum whatever we have derived are all the vectors, each one term is a vector. So vector sum of the normal component and the tangential component will give me the net acceleration. So this plus this. So I can connect this from here to here. If I connect, this is my acceleration of A. Please understand, this little complex than your velocity analysis. This is the acceleration of A normal component. This is the tangential component. The vector sum of the normal component and tangential component, acceleration of A. So I can write it as acceleration of A is acceleration of A normal component plus acceleration of A tangential component. Both are vectors. Suppose you are interested in putting this as a vector, you can have it, no problem. This is a vector sum of these two. So this point is my A double dash. So you have any doubts, please? Why two components? It has two components because we have derived it. Can we say that way we can see? Or we can say that velocity is a vector, it has magnitude and direction. If I say something is changing, means the change in magnitude also can occur, change in direction also can occur, the combination of these two. So the normal component, the centripetal component, it comes because of the change in direction of that vector. The tangential component is change in magnitude of that vector. Okay? Because of the change in magnitude, this is change in direction. So both the effect of change in magnitude and direction gives me the net acceleration. So now what I can do is, for making it more clear, you are not supposed to rub, but I can rub. I can remove these components so that my acceleration is there. So this is my acceleration of A. Now I have to find out acceleration of B. So how to do that? You can take B as a part of linkage 4, then it will have a normal and tangential component. Linkage B as part of linkage 3, B as part of linkage 3, you will have a normal and tangential component. So let us first take this B as a part of linkage 3. You will have an acceleration component like this, that is the normal component, another is a tangential component. So what is the acceleration of B with respect to A? Normal component. Acceleration of B with respect to A, tangential component. So what its magnitude would be? The normal component is omega 3 square times its position vector, that is B. Tangential component is alpha 3 times B. Its direction is known, this direction is known. But you can see that alpha 3 is not known. Okay? But we know this normal component, so we can proceed to the normal component and we can write it. So if I compute omega 3 times B, this is my direction. So I can say a vector like this, which is nothing but acceleration of B with respect to a normal component, which is fully known. The direction is known, magnitude omega 3 is already we have found out omega 3 by velocity analysis, B is a constant. So normal component I can fully get it. Now the tangential component, it will be perpendicular to this, like this, but what is its magnitude? I don't know. So let it be as it is, leave this, come and look at B as a part of linkage 4, then it will have a normal component and tangential component. So we can say that acceleration of B with respect to O4, we don't mention O4 because that is fixed. Acceleration of B, normal component, acceleration of B, tangential component. Normal component is given by what? Omega 4 square times C. Because this is omega 4, The tangential component is alpha 4 times c. So omega 4 is known already because I have got this by doing the velocity analysis. C is a constant. So this magnitude is known. What about the direction? It will be towards the center of rotation. It will be in this direction. It is starting from here. So this is say acceleration of B, normal component. Then what about the tangential component? That will be perpendicular to it, but I do not know the value of it because alpha 4 is not known. But the tangential component will be perpendicular to this. So they intersect at a point that may have some significance. So this could be, if I take this particular component is acceleration of B tangential. So this point where it intersects is my B double dash. This part, this is A double dash. So from here to here is acceleration of B, A normal component. So I can write it upwards. This component is acceleration of B with respect to A normal component. So this part is acceleration of B with respect to A tangential component. So this is what brings to the closure of finishing of the acceleration diagram. So I just keep on moving by drawing the normal component, tangential component. Out of this normal component is known, I finish it first, and tangential component will be perpendicular to it, I just proceed. In this case also I know the normal component, just tangential component, the intersection will be my B double dash. Now after finishing this, I can measure this acceleration of B with respect to A tangential component. Acceleration of B with respect to A tangential component, I can measure so many millimeters, and you would have used some scaling. 1 millimeter is equal to so many meters per second square, like that. Use a scale and find out this value. So this value is nothing but alpha 3 times B. So your alpha 3 will be given by acceleration of B with respect to A tangential component divided by B. So similarly you measure this, that is acceleration of B tangential component, that is equal to alpha 4 times C. So you can find out the magnitude of alpha 4 as equal to acceleration of B tangential component divided by C. So now you know the magnitude of alpha 4 and alpha 3. So here you have to be very careful in scaling the diagram and measure this. So when you do graphically, some error would come, some percentage of the error will be there, but when you do it by a program, by calculation, you will have accurate values. But in graphical method, there will be some error. But still, the authors throughout the world say that you have to practice the graphical method because that gives you more intuition about the acceleration, intuition about velocities, instead of just giving some input and getting the output in the computer program. So we have got the magnitude. You have any doubt? But you will have lots of doubt when you are alone with your own drawing sheet. Okay? Nothing wrong with that. You will learn anyway. Now what about the direction of alpha 3 and alpha 4? Now you see that this is the tangential component of B. This is my direction of B tangential. So my alpha 4 will be like this. Because you see this is the vector, this is the direction. I take it here, that will be the direction of the tangential component. So alpha 4 will be in that direction. Now what about the ABA tangential alpha 3? So this is the direction. So this will be the direction of the tangential component. Therefore, my alpha 3 will be like this. So alpha 3 and alpha 4 direction and magnitude you can find out. That is what it is sought from doing the acceleration analysis. Any questions, please? General questions you can ask. So what you have done today is you have derived it by using the differentiation calculus. We got 4 terms which represent the acceleration of a point. But when it comes to the acceleration difference, the magnitude is not going to change. So the 2 terms are not going to be there. Only the normal component, tangential component will be acting. So those 2 terms you have to take it to find out this. Then you will get everywhere. So this is what the acceleration analysis is all about. This is the graphical method.